Hey, welcome back to Livin MN Outdoors. I'm Daniel, and thanks for tuning in to another fishing report. We're going to dive right into the fishing report this week, guys. We're going to start up on Leech Lake. This past week, this hot weather, it really fired things up. The guide boats I've been talking to, they saw water temps as high as 80 degrees out on Leech Lake. And then the other day, they got some wind and some colder rain. It dropped that water temp down to 76 degrees and the walleyes were snapping. Now, some of the best areas to target those walleyes, this is lake wide, 9 to 15 feet of water on those weed lines. Then some other areas you can look for, main lake rocks in 9 to 21 feet of water, or Walker Bay rock piles in 9 to 21 feet of water. Now, the best methods for catching those fish right now is on a slip bobber with a 1/16 ounce jig or a number 2 or number 4 plain hook. But the key to that is using smaller leeches. If you can get small, medium, or panfish leeches, those are working way better than those large and jumbo leeches. Now, if you pitch a slip bobber on some walleyes, they won't eat it. Switch over to a 1/16 or 1/8 ounce jig head, put half a crawler on there, and more than likely you're going to get them to eat. Now, as far as the panfish bite goes, the panfish, they're still biting. Those northern bays, Boy Bay, Sucker Bay, even over in Agency Bay, they're getting a few panfish. They have moved out from those shallow spawning grounds. They moved out to those deeper weed lines in that 8 to 12 feet of water. Best ways to catch those, slip bobbers with a jig and a little bit of a night crawler, or you can pitch a jig and a plastic and get some that way as well. Now, as far as the muskie bite goes, the majority of those muskies have pushed up to those shallow structures. Look for those shoreline rock points. If you can find green cabbage, that is holding a ton of really nice muskies right now. And the best bites are coming on topwaters and bucktails. Now, as far as the smallmouth bass, they're out on the main lake rock piles, Walker Bay rock piles. They have pushed out just a little bit deeper. The majority of them fish are now in that 10 to 18 feet of water. Throw a Ned rig, some jerk bait still working, drop shots, and they're picking up some really nice smallmouth bass. Now, if you guys are headed up to Leech Lake, you want to hire a guide, we highly recommend the guys from Leech Lake Guide Team LLC. They really have the fish dialed in right now, whether you want to fish walleye, bass, muskies, whatever it might be. Get in touch with those guys. We'll link all of their info down in the description. Check them out on Facebook, their website, give them a call, get something on the books, and you will have a blast up on Leech Lake. All right, now moving over to Lake Winnie. The walleyes are a little bit in a transition right now, but with that warmer water, like I said before, they are biting. A couple different areas to look for them. 8 to 14 feet of water on those deeper weed lines, pulling spinners. Slip bobbers are working good as well. And then there still are some of them fish out in that 21 to 26 feet of water on those deeper structures on the main lake. Best ways to catch those out there, bottom bouncers with a spinner, drop shots, or slip bobbers working out there as well. Now, make sure you have both leeches and night crawlers in the boat because it's kind of switching day to day. Now, as far as the panfish bite goes, the crappies, they have been elusive all open water season except for kind of early this spring. As far as the bluegills go, they're still up in the pencil weeds and those little bit deeper weed lines. Throw a small little jig in there, tip it with a chunk of a night crawler, or throw some bobbers up in there with some night crawler as well, especially over in Big Cutfoot, and you're probably going to catch some really nice bluegills. Now, as far as the perch bite goes out on Winnie, the South Shore weed lines are starting to hold some nice perch. And then up in Tamarack Bay, they're getting some nice perch as well. Best methods to catch those perch, pulling spinners through the weeds, put an inline weight in, and you're probably going to get a nice batch of perch right now. Now, as far as the pike go, the pike are absolutely everywhere. Doesn't really matter how you fish, you're gonna run into pike. So if pike is your thing, get up to Lake Winnie and you're gonna have a blast. Now, I finally did get some information on muskies. A lot of the muskie fishermen, they're over on the east side on the sand. They're throwing bucktails, throwing some topwaters. Some guys are trolling, and they are catching some really nice muskies right now. So if you want to chase some muskies up on Lake Winnie, go check out the east side, and you might catch an absolute giant. Now, if you guys are looking for a guide up on Lake Winnie, we highly recommend Scott with zupsguideservice. He is the premier walleye guide out on Winnie. Whether you guys want to book a full day trip or a twilight trip, he does have some openings still July, August, September, and maybe even into October. So don't be afraid to give him a call, work through some dates, get something on the books, and you will have a blast up on Lake Winnie. Now, if you're looking for a place to stay, we highly recommend the Pines Resort. They have beautiful cabins, campsites, full bar and restaurant, fish cleaning shack, dock slips, boat rentals, whatever you could ask for, the Pines Resort has it. If you're looking for an absolute all-around amazing stay up on Lake Winnie, we highly recommend the Pines Resort. All right, now moving over to Mille Lacs Lake. The walleye bite out on Mille Lacs Lake is still very strong. Not a lot has changed. The majority of those walleyes are pushed out onto that deep gravel and the deeper mud flats in that 25 to 32 feet of water. Now, that doesn't mean you can't catch them up shallow, because I have been getting some reports in that 14 to 19 feet of water on some of those shallow rock structures. Some of that structure coming off some of the islands. They're getting them on swim baits and slip bobbers up there. And then out on that deeper structure, a lot of guys are pulling bottom bouncers with spinners. Right now, golden orange or purple and silver is working very well. Tip those spinners with a leech, and you're gonna have a blast walleye fishing out on Mille Lacs Lake. Now, as far as the smallmouth bass bite goes, with this hot weather, a lot of those fish pushed off them shoreline rock transitions. They're out on those shallower reefs in that 12 to 18 feet of water. Drop shots, Ned rigs. Some guys are slip bobber fishing them with live bait. It's not like the bite was back in May and June, where they were all congregated into that one area. They are spread out a little bit more, but if you can find some of them chunkier rocks or boulders, you're gonna catch some really nice smallmouth out on Mille Lacs Lake. Now, as far as the pike and muskie bite goes, Isle Bay, Cove Bay, Walk-On Bay, they're pulling spinners, bucktails, big spoons, and they're coming across some really nice pike and muskies. Now, some of the better colors, white and silver and white and purple, are working very well out there right now. They're catching some really big pike over 40 inches, getting some really nice big muskies. And then with that muskie bite, a lot of them muskies out on Mille Lacs, they do always hang out over the deep water basins chasing tulibies. So if you want to go chase some muskies out on the open water, try and locate some of them schools of tulibies and then troll some crankbaits through those schools. Now, as far as the perch bite out on Mille Lacs Lake, the majority of the perch reports I'm getting are coming from the north end mud flats. They're getting them on bottom bouncers, pulling spinners, either with night crawlers or leeches, and they are getting some really nice perch lately. Now, if you guys are looking for a place to stay, a guide trip, want to go out on a launch boat, Castles Resort in Isle Bay, they have all of that there. They do have some cabin availability, some ice castle availability. If you want to go out on a launch, I believe they do have an open launch this coming Saturday from 5 to 9 p.m. $40, that includes your rod and reel, bait and tackle. Bring a cooler with your favorite drinks and you'll have a blast out fishing. So if you guys are looking to get up to Mille Lacs Lake this coming weekend or in the future, go ahead and call Jeff or Kimberly from Castles Resort. Alright guys, well that's going to do it for this week's fishing report. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. If you could, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. You'll be notified every time we post a new fishing report or fishing video. If you guys do get out fishing, take some pictures, send them to us on Facebook. Remember, be kind at the boat ramps, be respectful of other fishermen, but most importantly, don't forget to get on out there and get living.